Welcome to Too Many Tabs, a podcast where a husband and wife sit across from each other and they hope, among all things, that the research that has been undertaken over the last month or so is worth the strain that it's putting on their brains. And then they take that strain and they dump it all over the other one in front of the world for their entertainment. Because that is what we have to do these days. Can we just have relationships? No! You have to monetize and commodify it! If you don't, how will the content be made?
Dance for me, you little clown.
Too many frauds and too many scammers that we wish weren't real. Too many cons and too many spammers, and we're starting to feel like we've got too many tabs open. It's too many tabs. Remember to smile.
Are you ready to go?
I'm not, okay.
You don't even know what we're doing today.
I don't, but
I'm bullying you.
Okay, but
I'm taking over.
We have announcements.
Do we?
Yes.
I didn't say we did.
Okay, you can say whatever you want to say after I say our announcements. Okay?
All right, go ahead.
All right, because we just
I
did.
give you permission.
Okay, I don't like how this is going already. I don't. Wow. Okay, so I just want to say thank you. First thing, not to you, to everyone listening, but especially to everybody who came out to all the shows over the entire summer. The main part of the tour has finally come to an end. We still have makeup dates that I'm going to be doing for Phoenix, Arizona, and an additional show that we've added in Dallas, Texas.
Tickets still available.
Tickets are available, and you guys can go check those out down below. And I'm really, really excited for those shows. But for everybody who's come out to all of the shows, including in September with Jersey City, Philadelphia, and now Indianapolis and St. Louis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys were an incredible audience, and the best part has been all of the meet and greets after every single show and meeting so many people who are huge fans of the podcast. Most people who came out were podcast fans.
Yeah.
Like, most of them are like, is your wife here? And I'm like, no. They're like, damn it. But that was most of it, and I just want to say thank you to all you guys, for everybody who told me how much the podcast means to you and why and how you listen to it and what it's gotten you through, all those different things. It really does. It, from the bottom of our hearts, it means a lot.
It's awesome.
And to everyone in Indianapolis who listened to this week's episode of The Warm Up, I will not apologize about my thoughts on Midwest pizza or on your city center being a dead mall.
Wow.
I will not ever back down on that. But everyone who came to the show, you yourself were lovely.
Yeah.
But I can tell that Mike Pence ran your state way too long. So with
Jesus
that,
Christ.
I would like just to let everybody know, as we said, I have 2 shows left, but better announcement. Make sure that you are registered to vote.
Yep.
Make sure that you have your library card. That is going to be our announcement moving forward on everything. And if you've done those 2 things, then, only then, or maybe even before then, you should join our Patreon at the $5 team lead level. And then you can hear me on the warm-up and also on other fun things that we have coming down the pipe very, very soon.
And hear me.
And hear you.
Yeah, me.
Okay.
People like me.
They do. I know. Which is why I have to tell them to hear me. Because they're here to listen to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to hit the bumper.
Wonderful.
We'll do that. And when we come back,
Yeah.
you can do whatever it is this topic is about that I have fucking no clue.
Do you even know what month it is?
October.
Yep.
Oh, that means it's
October, baby.
Oh, that-
Buckle the fuck up.
that means it's fucked-tober.
Maybe.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Buckle up.
Oh, why you keep saying buckle up? You keep saying
Because
like,
it's the beginning of the second best month of the year. Well, maybe the third best. I don't know. October, November, December are the top 3 months of the entire year.
yeah.
It is the beginning of the trifecta of the best part of every year.
So you're saying the fourth quarter.
Yeah, is the best quarter of them all.
You're a big Q4
I'm a
girly?
huge Q4 curly.
Okay.
Let's get all of our last minute data together.
Okay.
Let's get these spreads done.
Yeah, all of our bonuses rely on this exact time period. For the next 90 days, it's fucking go
Listen,
time.
we got to sell for Christmas. No, it's October, so we're going to talk about spooky ooky things and fun stuff.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that I don't think that last October we had Fucktober.
Okay.
We went hard.
Yeah.
Maybe too hard on certain topics.
Yes.
So I don't think maybe this October we're going to go into the full fucked. I think it's going to be more of a Spooktober. Or like some type of fun situation because it's going to be a little bit more lighthearted.
Okay. Because the world's already a scary enough place.
Exactly.
And enough people
and
have been
also
through
our
enough.
book club episodes are so scary.
They really are. I'm so tired of being terrified. Moon zombies, babe.
You had such a good time calling out that book the entire time. Listen to our book club episodes. He is like a pig in shit when it comes to talking nonsense about ooky spooky books.
Okay, what is today's episode about?
This is a highly requested. Remember when we did the suggestion box?
Yes.
Okay. And we asked the listeners for their suggestions. I want the biggest percentage, the biggest request out of all of them was for this episode.
Really?
Which is cryptids.
Oh.
Yeah. So people really want me to explain to you a couple of cryptids.
Okay.
And what the lore is around them.
Okay.
And I think that October is the perfect time to go over what a cryptid is, where they are, and the Ookie Spook's all about them.
I'm down.
You ready?
I'm down. And before I get started on this, cryptids is one of my weird areas where I don't like to push back too much.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about ghosts, I'm like, no.
Ghosts. Let's talk about ghosts. Ghosts are out here solving crimes right now on TikTok.
Okay. When you talk about those, I'm like, no. Aliens, I'm like,
yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Okay. But cryptids, I'm like, I want to believe.
You want to believe
I
in cryptids?
want to believe it.
You're
you know why?
older about these?
No, because cryptids mean that there's still things out there. Do you know what I mean? Like Nessie and Bigfoot, Mothman, all those different things. They're out there. And if they're out there, then so is whimsy and magic.
Okay. I think that ghosts and aliens also bring whimsy and magic.
Yeah?
Not
the same way.
Let's start with Mothman.
Okay.
Because you brought it up.
Yeah, I like Mothman.
So the first reported sighting of Mothman was seen by two couples that were out together, Steve and Mary and Mayette and Roger.
Okay.
Wait, no, I said that wrong. Steve and Mary, her last name is Mayette, and Roger and Linda.
Gotcha.
Okay. So it's two couples.
Okay.
They're out driving around.
Roger and Linda, classic couple name.
Roger and Linda, Steve and Mary.
Yeah.
They're out driving around. I'm assuming they're driving drunk and like just partying, but
it's
who knows?
West Virginia, right? Okay. Yeah. There's not much else. It's called Crazy Taxi.
Yeah.
And what you do is you get hammered on the side of a mountain and then you just see if you live.
You know what? I was in Virginia once and we did that.
Yeah.
And they reportedly saw, quote, a bird or something. And the men insisted that they hadn't been drinking. And the creature is described like this. This is the quotes. It was like a man with wings, Mayette said. It wasn't like anything you'd seen on TV or in a monster movie. It flew around 100 miles an hour. It was hovering above the car like it was gliding. And it was afraid of light. The creature's eyes glowed red only when the light shined on them. It didn't resemble a bat in any way, but maybe when you visualize like an angel, we could hear the sound of wings flapping and then it rose straight up like a helicopter.
Wow.
Okay.
Straight up like a helicopter. But how do they get to a moth from that?
Because of the
red glowing eyes?
I think the Indian moon moths, you know how they're a little furry?
Okay.
So I think they're describing it as like it's like a furry. It's got these big wings, like like a bird or angel wings, kind of described. So I think that's where they're going from it.
Okay. I mean, all right.
A number of sightings echoing the first few were reported over the next several months, but they came to a sudden and dramatic halt on December 15th of 1967. The Silver Bridge connecting Point Pleasant with Cayuga, Ohio, across from the Ohio River, collapsed during rush hour, killing 46 people. The chronological proximity of the Mothman's appearance in the town to the Silver Bridge tragedy led some to believe that the two were connected. One exceptionally crazy theory held that the collapse was caused by, quote, a sonic boom from the Mothman's wings.
Oh.
But the predominant belief is held that the creature's arrival had been an omen sent to warn the people of Point Pleasant in what it seems is a pretty poorly planned, indirect, very confusing, and maybe could have just been poor infrastructure. Not a great.
I listen. Mothman, great. I've always been confused by the connection of Mothman and like the bridge and like, oh, when Mothman shows up, bad stuff happens.
Yeah,
like that has always truly confused me because I'm like, he's a Mothman.
Yeah, he just goes to light. Like, and why is he afraid of light?
But also, like, since when did that give him psychic powers? Do you know what I mean? Like, when did he's a fortune teller, he's a time traveler, and he's different things.
Have you watched a moth? They're so bad at being alive,
bro. I
wouldn't trust a moth to tell me nothing.
Yeah, and so like if a moth, but also that the sonic boom one's crazy because like someone would have heard it, and then but the whole general thing of like the moth, like he's just I gotta warn everybody, watch out for the bridge. He could have just been like, stay out of Ohio, they have terrible pizza. Like that could be what he was saying.
A sheriff said to have dismissed the creature as a type of heron he called a shit poke.
A heron?
A heron, like a bird.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
I was just saying a shit poke heron.
Yeah, shit poke heron.
Okay.
That's a quote, shit poke. And Dr. Robert Smith, obviously, then associated professor of wildlife biology at West Virginia University, suggested the creature was most likely a sandhill crane, a bird not typically found in the area, but whose size, around 6 feet, wingspan over 7 feet, and had circles of reddish flesh around the eyes.
Oh.
So the professor was like, they probably just saw this crazy ass crane.
Yeah.
Out like in an area it wasn't supposed to be in.
Yeah, and they were drunk.
They said they weren't drunk. They said they weren't drunk.
They said it enough times that I'm like, you were drunk. Like that's a listen. We definitely weren't drunk when we saw this, and everyone's like,
because you can't admit to drunk driving.
Well, it's 1964. I think it was legal.
They were like seatbelts, cigarettes, and drunk driving.
All of that is
legal, baby.
Yeah, whatever. We don't need seatbelts. But like, I think real quick, right now you need a seatbelt.
Put it on.
Don't drink and drive. Wear a seatbelt. But in 1964, if you're a time traveler and you end up in 1964 in West Virginia, first thing, build a glider. And then
scare the shit out of
the locals and not once warn them about the bridge. In fact, instead just float over them menacingly and look terrified of lights.
Yeah.
And that will tell me
the thing that moths are most known for, not going towards lights.
Yeah. You're like a moth to a flame or a Mothman to a bridge. They do have that crazy statue.
I was just gonna say, there's a 12-foot tall metal statue of the Mothman in Point Pleasant. He is that has gained widespread love and acclaim for its voluptuous buttocks.
Yes.
The Mothman makes no attempt to hide his juicy cakes, instead choosing to flash all the cheeks. And, we love that for him.
The Mothman presents...
Do you want to see a picture of it? I have it.
I've seen it. I know what...
But do you want to look at it again?
I'll look at it again, though. Good. It's just his butt.
It's just his butt.
Look at that butt.
Thick and juicy.
That is some birthday cake right there.
And it's not even BBL. It's got the width and the length.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. That's mastercrafted ass right there.
Somebody took their time doing that.
Somebody was putting together the Mothman's ass crack and was like... But I need this ass crack to tell the world that it can see danger. Yeah. Stupid. So dumb. The fucking there was somebody who actually wore a Mothman t-shirt to my St. Louis show.
I actually grabbed it.
What?
One of our listeners, when we first had our baby, sent us a Mothman little book.
Oh yeah.
And she wrote this. Her name's Hannah Chapman. And the series is called The Cryptid Chronicles, and it's Little Mothman and the Pretty Things.
Aww.
And it's Little Mothman discovers he loves little pretty things, which his friends don't understand at first. But Little Mothman learns through the help of the shopkeeper and his friends that it can be hard to be different, but it's okay to stand out. And it's just him deciding that he loves little trinkets that are shiny and fun.
Yeah, and it's a cute book, and you don't see his butt once.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a kid's book.
It's a kid's book. I know, exactly. And she signed it. It was so nice. And the thing I like about Mothman, right, is it's a no stakes cryptid.
Yeah.
It feels very difficult to get alt-right pipeline from Mothman. I feel like Mothman exists because people could not deal with the fact that their government failed them and corruption built a bad bridge.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like we have, I think there's like a crazy number of failing bridges in America.
It's like all of them.
And so like Mothman being like, that bridge is bad. It's like, yeah. It's like, cool. Honestly, if he pointed at a bridge, he's like, that bridge is fine. I would be more
You're
concerned.
like, wait, what is he saying?
Yeah, so I've always been confused about that one because I remember also there was that Richard Gere movie about Mothman.
Yeah, there was the Richard Gere movie, but also it was like, again, it was all about, it was a sign. Like,
Yeah,
Mothman was a
they
sign.
really leaned in. I was like, I want more about a giant moth.
Well, we did that one book club. Remember that one
Yeah.
book I didn't like, but they had like a Mothman style
Yeah,
bad guy.
yeah.
But that he wasn't even the bad guy.
No.
The husband was the bad guy.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. But Mothman's just one of those ones where the entire time I'm like, it's fun. He also feels like Mothman feels like a Man-Bat
Yeah.
in Batman, where he's not really a villain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not scary.
I think
He's
he's
just
vibing.
misunderstood. He's vibing. He's just
Yeah.
out there. He's like, I'm afraid of light, but light is my whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, that feels, I like it.
Yeah.
He's my type of confused
Yeah.
millennial standard.
He is so millennial coded.
He is.
He's so
He's
millennial
literally,
coded.
he's literally like, hey, just so you know, like that bridge might collapse,
Like,
but
no,
fuck
like,
me, whatever.
yeah,
All right,
like, oh.
no, it's fine. I have to go. I'm taking off.
Yeah. Hey guys, you shouldn't be drinking and driving.
Guys,
you shouldn't be drinking and driving.
you know
he was
what?
probably just warning them to stop drinking and driving.
Stop drinking and driving, and they're like, that bridge
and
collapsed
they're
for
just
no
old
reason.
boomers. Like, we didn't have to do that when we were young. We could do whatever we want.
Meanwhile, it turns out if you go back far enough, Roger and Linda actually communist spies who were there to stop the coal trade, part of Soviet Union.
Wow. Do you want to talk about the Jersey Devil?
Yes, of course. The Jersey Devil is also up there for ones I really
Yeah.
like because the Jersey Devil. I don't know a lot about the Jersey Devil. From the very get-go, the Jersey Devil's always just been silly to me.
He's silly belly.
He's silly because he lives in. All right, tell me.
Lives in the Pine Barrens.
Yes, that's such a stupid area to live.
Okay, I have to say before I read any of this, as someone who's been to the Pine Barrens, no offense to people in Jersey that live near the Pine Barrens, I gotta tell you, it's the worst fucking place. It's it's in the name, Barrens. It's barren. It's dead pine trees for miles, and then once you get through it, boom, beach.
Yeah.
It's like it's the worst part,
It's
awesome beach.
It's pine barren, so it's literally pine trees, right? So there's pine trees and pine needles fucking everywhere, and then occasionally just a gas station.
Yeah.
And then like two houses of people who live and work at the gas station.
Yeah.
And it's never like a good gas station either.
No.
It's like a Gulf or like a Phillips 66. You're like, how do we even get these in fucking New Jersey?
Yeah.
And it's just like the weirdest dude you've ever seen because in Jersey, they have to pump your gas.
Yeah.
So you can't even get out of the car. So
You
it's
know
like,
what? One time I was driving through the Pine Barrens, and there was a roadside store, and they were selling those when they do like the tree stump and they carve it into an animal, and I bought a bear.
you have to say, I bought a bear.
I bought a bear.
I bought a bear.
From the Pine Barrens wood chipping guy.
Here's what I think about the Pine Barrens.
Mm.
There was a friend of ours in our life, close to your friend.
Okay.
And they had a romantic partner who wronged them.
Yep.
And the way you calmed that friend down was you threatened to knock this man out, put him in the trunk of my car,
Yep.
drive him out to the Pine Barrens, tie him to a tree, and pour honey on him.
Yeah.
And you're like, it'll take care of itself. And I was like, that. And then you told me that, and I was like, I can never wrong this woman.
So the first reported sighting of the Jersey Devil is in South Jersey / Philadelphia area. The creature is believed to be the unwanted 13th child of Mother Leeds.
What is a Mother Leeds?
According to those who know Mother Leeds, before the birth of her 13th child, she declared that she wished the devil would take away this child after it was born. At birth, the child suddenly changed into the ugliest creature in the world and flew away into the vast darkness of the Pinelands. It is reported that the Jersey Devil inhabits the eerie and misty wetland areas of the region, venturing out into the woodlands at night seeking humans to scare away with its piercing screams and grotesque appearance.
So the Jersey Devil is is the smoke queef from Game of Thrones?
Yeah, exactly that.
Basically? That's what this is?
It's being described as this woman, Mother Leeds.
Yeah.
As she is, they're interpreting her as evil and saying like, if
She was
the
so
devil,
sick of having kids.
Devil could just take this fucking kid, because again, she's on her 13th child and she lives in the Pine Barrens.
When is this? Do we know?
We don't know.
Okay.
Naturally, because the story involves Philadelphia, we're gonna have a pop-up shop of one of my favorite boys in the world, Benny Frank.
Okay.
Boom. As is law, Ben Franklin's required to be part of the story.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about back in the day.
Back in the day.
Okay, so the Jersey Devil more than likely is dead.
Oh, what?
If it ever existed.
I mean, they're a hockey team.
Oh, no, I know. There's the New Jersey Devils. But I'm saying, though, it's the Jersey Devil. What we're talking about right here, we're talking about revolutionary times.
Yeah, he's definitely still out there, though.
Okay.
So Ben Franklin trolled an anti-Quaker guy to death. And now that guy is the Jersey Devil. This is a different storytelling of where the Jersey Devil comes from.
Wait. Hold on.
Go take it.
Hold on. Mm-hmm. Some guy was so anti-Quakers. Mm-hmm. For those of you guys who don't know, the Quakers are a religious sect of people who, there's a couple different versions of them, but back in these days, William Penn is the founder of Pennsylvania. He was a Quaker. Mm-hmm. These are pacifists for the most part. They also eventually became abolitionists. Mm-hmm. They also don't have like leaders in that way of their church services. So, Catholics, Episcopalians, and others, they have preachers. In the Quaker services, you sit in a room until the hand of God touches you and compels you to speak.
Yeah, so you sit quietly for a lot.
Yeah, you just sit there in silence for a while until you are shaken by the hand of God. I know a bunch of people who grew up Quaker, and I've been to like a couple Quaker services. It is off-putting, but they are nice people. However, someone who hates Quakers so much that Ben Franklin's like, I have to get involved. That's insane. Okay? So what did Ben Franklin do?
So according to Brian Regal from the newspaper, it was called The Skeptical Inquirer, Mother Leeds, in quote, is a stand-in for the whole Leeds family. The Leeds, as a family, hated the Quakers. And Daniel Leeds distributed anti-Quaker pamphlets, including one titled The Innocent Vindicated from the Falsehoods and Slander of Certain Certificates, which really a bad name.
Yeah.
If I got a pamphlet that said that, I'd say, hey, that's word salad. I can't read this.
To be fair, back in the day, people did used to write really crazy names for like all of their pamphlets. Like if you go back to even like some classic literature, like they all have these insane subtitles. Like I think Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, like it just keeps going.
Yeah. They didn't understand that
brevity.
You got to keep it short and sweet.
Yeah.
So, he got into a feud with George Fox of Quaker fame, who shot back with his own pamphlet, Satan's Harbinger. I can't ever say this. Harbinger Encountered. So that's kind of a baller
That's a
name.
Much better name.
That's a good pamphlet name. I'm reading that pamphlet.
That reminds me back in the day when the crazy Alex Jones people, they had a thing called Obama-nation.
That's pretty.
I was like, damn, abomination. I was like, all
That's
right.
pretty good.
All right.
You got to give it to him sometimes. A little creative.
Every now and then you're like, okay, you guys nailed that one.
You got that one.
Yeah.
Daniel Leeds died, and his son Titan Leeds took over the hate train. He just stayed hating like his dad.
Okay.
In 1728, Titan redesigned the masthead to include the Leeds family crest, which contained a dragon-like creature with clawed feet and bat-like wings. So Titan is like drawing this silly creature for their crest. Known as the Wyverns, they're suspiciously reminiscent of the later description of the Jersey Devil.
Okay, so a wyvern, however you want to pronounce it, those are a type of dragon.
Yeah.
Now, before everybody gets in the comments on the Patreon, there's a few different types, and like it's like a worm with wings.
With wings
is kind of how it goes.
But it's got claw feet.
Yeah, its claw feet are like a little extra part of it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like different descriptions, and then people get really mad because Tolkien's the one who kind of fucked them all up. Because Tolkien took a bunch of different things and smashed it together. Yeah. I listened to a whole thing about dragons recently, like explaining the different types. Because there's like Chinese dragons versus like how dragons were described up to a certain point. And then eventually they were like, they took all these attributes, mashed them together, and that's what made Smaug, which is the dragon from The Hobbit, which is where most fantasy dragons are based off of. Okay. Why are you looking at me like that?
I don't know. I've lost track of what you were saying.
I'm talking about dragons.
So Titan Leeds finds himself. That was all a little bit of backstory. Titan Leeds finds himself in one of the most notorious almanac feuds of all time. I'm sorry.
It's an almanac.
An almanac feud, baby.
Okay.
The Farmer's Almanac? No. This is way high stakes almanackery.
Yeah.
The up and coming Philadelphia printer Benjamin Franklin entered the almanac game in 1732 with Poor Richard's Almanac.
Yeah, which is a good almanac.
Good almanac.
That's
People
good
know.
stuff.
People look around, they go, let's talk about a good almanac right there.
Yeah.
Franklin decided to go after his rival to boost sales. In 1733, he put out an edition of Poor Richard's Almanac. He used astrological techniques to predict that Titan Leeds would die on October 17th of that year.
Wait, he just straight up said this man will die? Okay.
Trolled him so hard. He's just like, I'm gonna put out an almanac.
I read the signs
and talk shit.
You're gonna die on October 7th.
He called out the day he's gonna die based on the astrology. Like, what a hit! What a hit to put on someone.
That's incredible.
Franklin approached this feud in a humorous vein, while Leeds took it seriously. Leeds did not understand the comedy of what just happened. Yeah. That's the thing about sometimes, like, and this happens nowadays with like people that understand how to troll on the internet, and like they know when they're being a comedy troll and just like pushing people's buttons to see how they react. And then those certain people don't understand what's happening.
You know who's really good at that?
Who?
His name is Dusk.
Yeah.
His name is Dusk. He'll play stupid. He'll play so fucking stupid. And I'll be like, no, because I'll be talking about a serious thing, like in my head, that's serious. And he'll be like, oh, okay. It doesn't even matter what the topic. I could be talking about the Jersey Devil. He'll be like, oh, okay, the hockey team. I'm like, no, I'm talking about the Cryptid. Okay. Are you sure? Because I feel like the Cryptid's based on the hockey team. I'm like, that's not how this works. Like, fuck you. And I'll get so mad. And then I'm like, then I finally like see his face, and I'm like, you asshole.
Yeah.
You've gotten me for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The other thing too to bring up about the almanacs is because like he's taking a piss out of himself.
Yeah.
Because the almanacs did use a lot of like astrology and all these different things to be like, oh, next year it's gonna rain more. It's like they didn't always know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was a little bit.
Good winter this year.
It's gonna be a good winter.
Yeah.
All right. What does that mean? Sure.
Yeah, good winter.
Yeah.
So
it's the divining. It's the divining rods of books.
Yeah, Leeds is taking it super serious. He retaliated in his almanac by saying that Franklin, quote, had manifested himself a fool and a liar.
Okay.
It's like, shitty comeback. Franklin replied with mock outrage and hurt, saying Leeds was, quote, too well bred to use any man so indecently and scurrilously. It's just like such old-timey fighting.
How dare you, sir? You are scurrilous. You are scurrilous.
Indecent, sir. Indecent. Therefore, the person saying these things must not be Titan Leeds, but a creature from the spirit world.
Oh.
He went on to say that he had, quote, received much abuse from the ghost of Titan Leeds. Even after Titan Leeds finally died in 1738.
He did die?
No, it was years later. He said he was going to die in 1733.
Okay.
But he did die in 1738.
He did die, yeah.
Just like any almanac. It's right eventually.
This man will die. Will he die on this date? Probably.
We're going as close as we can.
Yeah. Well, you know what? He didn't go over.
Oh, Price is Right rules.
Yep.
He died. Franklin responded to his own jokes, basically saying, honest Titan, deceased was raised from the dead and made to abuse his old friend Franklin. Largely out of fun, Benjamin Franklin had publicly cast his rival almanac publisher as a ghost. So he was like claiming that he came back, but he had also said that he was a devil, right?
Yeah.
So this is building this Jersey Devil lore. And he's saying that the rival almanac publisher was brought back from the great beyond to haunt his enemies. It is interesting to note that traditionally believed that the period of birth, quote, of the Jersey Devil is the 1730s, the mid 1730s, which coincides with the death of Titan Leeds. So this whole thing could just be Benny Franklin starting a fight with this anti-Quaker guy. And then
the way it whispered out into the community, it became real.
A game of telephone that got played all the way from Philly to the Jersey Shore.
This is so good because also this is kind of like how the comic books Fables, which I have right over there. It's that idea of like you can create a thing and then you create like a literary idea and it becomes real out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Because to some people, the Jersey Devil is real.
Yeah.
And in reality, it's just some dude who's having an almanac fight.
And if you troll hard enough, you can create a myth.
That's so good.
Ask JD and his couch.
Whoa!
Hey! Do you want to take a little break?
Yeah, we should take a break right here. And when we come back, we're going to cover a couple more cryptids.
Yeah, just a couple more. We don't want to do too many.
We don't want to do too many. This is a good little taste, though. Because we're right here in the beginning of Cryptober.
No, we're not doing them all in
Cryptid.
October. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned for October.
Cryptid.
No, it's just Spooktober.
Okay.
We're back.
Yeah, we're here. And can I tell you, actually, what's crazy is that when you were so aggressive during the intro.
Yeah.
That I assumed this was going to be about like findoms. And then I told you that during the break. And you were like, what the fuck is a findom? And I started to explain it to you. And then you just got mad.
No, I don't want to hear about that.
No.
They're not like cryptids. A findom isn't like a cryptid. Let me tell you about the Snallygaster.
Sorry, what did you say to me?
It's called a Snallygaster.
A Snallygaster?
Snallygaster. Snallygaster. I'll show you a picture of it. It's that one right there. Sorry to hit the mic, y'all.
Okay.
So Snallygaster. First known sighting was in Frederick County, Maryland in 1909.
Okay. We're getting a little more current.
A little closer. So in Atlas Obscura, Colin Dickey writes, quote, in early 1909, some strange tracks left in the snow outside a New Jersey home led to a furor over the, quote, Jersey Devil. Less than a month after the Jersey Devil sightings began, the Valley Register ran a story about a man named Bill Gifferson who had been walking home when a winged creature attacked him, carried him up on a hill, slashed his jugular with its beak, drained his blood, and finally dumped his lifeless body in a ravine. Another report of a man who happened upon the Snallygaster, as it was, draining a 100-gallon tub of water, after which it exclaimed, "My, I'm dry. I haven't had a good drink since I was killed in the Battle of Chickamauga," as though the fearsome dragon-esque creature was somehow the ghost of a dead Civil War soldier. Eventually, the Register announced that the Snallygaster had fallen into a 2,500-gallon of backwoods liquor, a big vat of it, after being overcome by the fumes. By the time officials got there, the alcohol had completely eaten away at the animal, leaving only its bones, which were, for some reason, subsequently dynamited. I just said so much.
Okay. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
So first thing, I'm guessing in the early 1900s, the Jersey Devil
has a resurgence.
It has a resurgence. It becomes a thing. Mm-hmm. And so then down in Frederick, Maryland, which is not that far.
No.
It's not that, especially now the cars and trains are around.
Yeah.
They start having their own little things start to show up. And it's a flying monster.
Yep.
That steals a man walking down the road.
Yep.
Carries him to a mountaintop. Cuts his throat, drinks all of his blood.
Yep.
Then drops him off in the middle. So they have that's a murderer. There's a murderer.
They've got a murderer.
They have a murderer, and they're like, must have been a big bird. Okay. Then that same monster, because I don't understand how they're not saying here that a witness saw this happen.
No.
They're just saying must have been a big old bird monster.
Yeah, it must have been a Snallygaster.
And then the which we'll get into that. Then it drank a bunch of water and then yelled, I'm
dry. I haven't had a good drink since I was killed in the Battle of Chickamauga.
Okay, that's insane. The fact that there's a dragon that can talk now. We've gone from 0 to 100. We went from a weird way to cover up a murder to now we have a talking dragon.
Yeah.
And then you said that the dragon is so thirsty, because now we're adding on to how thirsty the dragon is.
Thirsty.
It's so thirsty that it accidentally came across so much alcohol.
2,500-gallon vat of backwoods liquor.
Okay. So it came across some apple mash in the back
of Maryland.
Which is where that's
where you're gonna find it.
That's where you're gonna find it. The fumes overwhelmed it.
Yep, knocked him out.
But this is supposed to be a Civil War veteran who can't handle his liquor, and then he fell into the fumes, into the liquor, and it died. But the liquor's so strong. Maryland backwoods apple mash is so strong that it cooked off all of his skin.
Yep.
And then subsequently, which means within mere moments or hours.
Yeah, they got the bones.
They scooped all the bones out.
Yeah.
Didn't say what they did with the liquor.
Nope.
They scooped all the bones out and said, "Listen, we should blow this up.
We got to get rid of it
because this is a ghost dragon."
Yep.
This is the reincarnated ghost dragon murderer.
So
how do we get the name? The
Snallygaster?
How do we get the name Snallygaster?
So underneath these frivolous stories I've just told you,
okay,
is something way darker. Okay.
Of course.
Many of the original reports of this cryptid strikingly note that the Snallygaster specifically preys on black people. On February 12th, 1909, the same day the NAACP was founded, the Valley Register ran a story titled, quote, "The colored people are in great danger," which described the creature and how, quote, "This vampire devil only attacks people of color. It is seldom seen during the day, feeding at night only, and the strange part is that it seems to prefer men of color and women of color, though it attacks them at later at times." Another article from that period quoted an eyewitness who claimed that the Snallygaster, quote, "was an omen of ill for colored voters," quote, "who deserted the Republican Party in the presidential election. These are weaponized superstition tactics. They were common in the South before and after the Civil War. Folklorist Gladys Marie Fry documents in the numerous ways white people would attempt to use urban legend, folklore, and the supernatural as a means of control."
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
You see where this went?
I see exactly where this went. Completely. I just wanted to check one thing on the map. I was just looking to see how close Frederick, Maryland is to Rising Sun, Maryland.
Pretty close?
No, I mean, it's about 2 hours.
You're going to explain why you just looked up Rising Sun, Maryland?
Yeah, because it's a Klan hub.
Yeah.
It's a very well-known den of racist vipers.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I mean, the thing people have to remember is that the classic South is considered anything south of the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
The Mason-Dixon line is the Pennsylvania-Maryland border.
Yeah.
A lot of people think of Maryland as being a part of the North, and actually now people think Virginia is part of the North. But like this is the area, this hub is right around D.C. and Richmond, which Richmond was the capital of the Confederacy.
Yeah.
All of this different stuff. So yeah, now it makes a lot more sense. And this is them creating up. This is a local white newspaper creating up fanciful stories to cover the fact that they are butchering black people.
Yeah.
For any reason whatsoever.
Yeah. The quote, "The primary aim of such pressure was to discourage the unauthorized movement of black people," she writes, "especially at night, by making them afraid of encountering these supernatural beings." Kika D. Williams wrote, quote, "The wounds that cried out a reckoning of African-American testimonies and trauma and suffering from night riding." So this is a book she wrote. Quote, "Night riders conducted both indiscriminate raids and targeted hits. White men's desire to stop black people threatened their power." So they were, just like you were saying, they were using this idea of this guy, this imaginary dragonish character, but also
who's also a Civil War veteran.
Yeah, so it's like, it's so weird. But also, if you look at this one picture I have of, quote, the Snallygaster, it really explains exactly what the demon is.
Oh, it's the ghost of the Confederacy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, but they were framing it as something else.
Yeah, okay. That makes a lot more sense. And so I'm guessing that the Chickamauga Battle of Chickamauga, let's see, what's that one? 1863, southeastern Tennessee and northwest Georgia. Mm-hmm. That's where that one was coming from. And I'm guessing also just because of the movement of peoples, especially people who came up from the South.
Yeah, people that were
from that area, who were freedmen who moved up to that area. Mm-hmm. The other part of it is that I would like to go back on record by just giving a big shout out to our girl, the Mothman, for not being this.
No.
Big shout out to the Mothman.
Would never.
The Mothman would never. And this also explains why the Snallygaster isn't among the fun cryptids.
No.
Bigfoot, not once has Bigfoot been tied in
with
the Klan.
Bigfoot's next on my list.
Okay, good. Let's get to them in just a minute. But I just want to stick around here because a big thing too with this is the idea, because there was a lot of different Jim Crow laws around that time that did stop the free movement of peoples, especially freed peoples during this time. And this is all about control. But these type of things, we're used to actually it being the opposite in modern day. So back in the day, you had an oppressed group here, which being black people, right? And so the whites would make up fake, horrific stories. The Klan, the reason why they wore sheets is because they were ghosts.
Yeah.
This thing is a ghost.
To scare them.
Yeah, to scare people.
Yeah.
And it also was cover so that way when whites were talking to each other about what's going on, you wouldn't say, oh, that's Jerry and that's George down the street. They're fucking bigots.
Yeah.
No, they would just, the people would just, it's the Snallygaster. It's the Snallygaster. And some people far enough outside of town would just think, oh, there's some weird dragon.
Yeah.
There's
they
the Jersey
know that
Devil.
Jerry's a bag of shit.
They wouldn't know that there's some guy named Jerry and all of his buddies get hammered on apple mash in the back of fucking the woods somewhere.
And then set off dynamite.
And then blow up people's bones.
Yeah.
So they would just put it together as this tall, fanciful tale. So that was the cover. You fast forward till today, and instead what we do is we write horrific stories about oppressed peoples by claiming that they are violent to then allow our police to go and do these type of things and allow our laws to change.
Yep.
So a way to really put a damper on the Cryptid Day by hitting us with reality.
I did, okay.
This is why I liked cryptids.
That's because they weren't real. Well, guess what? Sometimes we have to talk about how a cryptid could be weaponized against people.
Okay.
But you know who was never weaponized? I don't know if that's true.
I don't know.
Is our good friend Sasquatch.
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot, baby. So, first known sighting, let's say, the British explorer Dave Thompson is sometimes credited with the first discovery in 1811 with a set of Sasquatch footprints. However, long before TV shows sensationalized looking for the creature, there's a native tribe, and I'm not going to say this right. It's STS. AILES. I'm going to say Stahalis. Passed down songs and stories about Sasquatch, but it was called something else. Sasquets. Sasquets. The creature is considered sacred to the West Coast First Nations peoples, particularly the Stahalis, who have lived in Harrison River Valley for nearly 10,000 years. One of the most famous sightings was recorded by Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin, is often referred to as the Patterson-Gimlin film. This is the video you're thinking of.
Yeah, of the Sasquatch walking in the distance.
Of the Sasquatch walking in the distance. The film was recorded in Bluff Creek, California, October 20th, 1967, and has been subject to debate basically up until this day. The film has about 59 seconds. It's basically fuzzy. You can't really see anything. The stabilized version is constantly being contested. People are like, it's obviously a hoax. It's clearly a guy in a costume. Other people are like, no, this is definitely real. Other videos put forth, including a film by this guy, Todd Standing, which has also been contested a lot, noted the facial structure. But then some people were like, no, the Bigfoot facial structure actually looks like your facial structure, Tim.
Oh, really?
So I'll show you this image of like this guy. It's okay. So the image is of his head. And then like if you put fur on it, it looks
does
like
the
Bigfoot.
slow. Yeah, they're doing the slow anamorph.
Yeah, he's anamorphing. So
It's the same.
But you know what
mouth.
I found out?
Yeah.
Is okay. So that film that we all think of when we picture Bigfoot, right?
The 1967
The Patterson-Gimlin film.
Yeah.
Because of that film, they started calling Bigfoot Patty because it's the Patterson film.
And that's where the Patty name came for that one book?
Patricia. I don't know. I feel like.
No, I feel like that's right.
I feel like that's where Patricia comes from.
I feel like that's right. Now, I will say I have seen the stabilized version of because the people have used it where they went frame by frame and they're like, we'll just make it flat so you can see. It's like so clearly a guy in a suit.
It's a
like
guy in a suit.
That one is clearly a guy in a suit. Now, does that mean to me that there is no such thing as Bigfoot? Absolutely not. I think Bigfoots and Yetis, there's totally a possibility of them. We have a great big country. Until this last weekend, I didn't know you could fuck up a pizza. But you know what? When you travel far enough and you go to enough places, like you go to Indianapolis, Indiana, and you go to the Westin Hotel and you order a pizza at 10:50 at night.
I would like to formally apologize to the listeners from the Midwest who enjoy the pizza they have.
That's fine.
They don't know about Brooklyn or East Coast pizza.
No, it's fine.
Okay?
Just stop making it.
Okay, they need their type of pizza.
No, they need to make a new type of pizza and then call it something else. It's the same thing I'll always say about gluten-free food, right?
Oh,
I don't
no.
mind.
Here
No,
we
stop.
go.
And the same thing with vegan food. Don't tell me that this is vegan bacon. Tell me what it actually is. Oh, this is a soy patty. That's fine. I like soy patty. It's good. That's fine. Don't tell me it's bacon. I take a bite of it. I'm expecting fucking bacon. Don't hand me whatever that monstrosity was with uncooked red fucking sweet peppers on it and tell me it's a sausage fucking pizza. But back to Bigfoot.
According to History.com, in 2019, the FBI released a 4-decade-old file on Bigfoot, including their analysis conducted on the hair that allegedly belonged to Sasquatch. The results were deer hair.
Yeah.
Additionally, the scientific community has overwhelmingly dismissed the film as a showing of a person wearing a costume. Scientists tested a bunch of DNA samples from which DNA was recovered from the area, and everything turned out to be bears, horses, cows, deer, along with porcupine.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue any of this. I will say that the other thought of it too is with like gorillas and apes.
Yeah.
There is something that we want to believe because there are on all these other continents. There are, apes and gorillas and all this different stuff. You're like, why isn't there one in North America, right? If all of these other places have big cats, why don't we have them here? And it makes you wonder.
Many other reported sightings have taken place, such as Bigfoot of Collier County in the Florida Everglades.
Oh, I don't believe that one. I'm going to throw that one out right now. I don't believe any of that shit. Fuck that shit. Florida doesn't get their own Bigfoot. That's not how this works.
They have alligators.
Pacific Northwest, absolutely fine. You want to give me a crocodile man? Okay, I can fuck around with a crocodile man. But there ain't no way that a big hairy monster can survive in Florida long enough.
Yeah. So we also have the Wendigo. Do you know about the Wendigo?
I know it of the X-Men Wendigo. Is this like a skinwalker thing?
Yeah, similar to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Wendigo's a weird one because I don't know if it's actually a cryptid because so the more research about it is like it's a cryptid in the way that people discuss it today, but it is actually like a firmly held belief in indigenous culture.
Yeah.
So like there's a big push from indigenous people to be like, please stop using the Wendigo as your bad guy. Like stop talking about the Wendigo as like this creepy skinwalker and this like thing that's out to get you. Like it has a history within the Algonquin people, in what is now Quebec. It was described as a hold on, wait, I just lost my spot because there's so much information on my page. Is described as a human-like but emaciated person with a face blackened by frostbite and missing lips and cheeks because it chewed them off in its hunger for human flesh.
Okay.
So it's so emaciated and hungry, it's eating itself at this point.
Oh.
And the thing about the Wendigo is it's usually shown in like really cold temperatures. It's kind of the way that, is it Antarctica's the biggest desert?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the desert that is snow. That is where the Wendigo comes.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Its diet is described succinctly as it eats people, especially children. Anybody who puts their survival needs above others and eats human flesh or is tempted to, that's, quote, going Wendigo. They are possessed by the spirit of the Wendigo. Their hearts and spines are encased in ice so thick that you can hear it popping and cracking through their chest as they walk. The only cure for Wendigoism is either to pour hot bear fat down the person's throat to melt the ice or kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the there's a couple different, like, so in one, I think in the X-Men there is like a bad guy called Wendigo,
Yeah.
and I think he's just kind of like a big furry white monster thing.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of what I always was raised on. But then years and years ago, I had a roommate who showed me this movie called Ravenous. I just had to look it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Guy Pearce movie that came out in 1999. And I will say, for anybody out there, this is one of those, I don't really think of it as a scary movie. It's more of like a thriller.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about these guys. It's before the Civil War. It's in between the Mexican-American War and the Civil War.
Yeah.
And it's these guys in a frontier U.S. Army post.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really cool movie.
Yeah.
But it's called Ravenous. The Wendigo has evolved, all these different things, but it's all about cannibalism.
Yeah.
And it's all about like when you would fall into this and like what that like means and like the power of it and all this other type of stuff. So like it's a it's a fun, not fun. It's a weird movie. I liked it though. It was actually one of those ones where I was like, oh, because I also like Guy Pearce movies.
Yeah.
He's really good. But the cast is really good. I really recommend it. But yeah, that was kind of all I really knew about Wendigo. Once you started describing it, though, also, like, yeah, if you got stuck in a situation where you didn't have supplies, like those guys who in the plane who crashed on the mountain and they had to eat their colleagues and stuff like that from that soccer team, like, yeah, I can totally see this is that situation where you end up in an area with nothing.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to survive is eating babies.
Whoa, dude.
I'm just saying.
Whoa, dude.
Hey, listen, with our baby got good eating on
No,
him.
stop it. You shut up right now.
So
the most famous Wendigo case is the case of Swift Runner. It was after the winter in 1878 in Alberta. A man named Swift Runner, a Cree man named Swift Runner, returned from his winter camp without his family, behaving strangely. He said that they had died of starvation, even though he looked pretty okay for a man who had survived the winter, because he had killed the other 9 members of his family.
9?
The Northwest Mounted Police decided to check him out, and they found, when they got to his camp, it was covered in human bones and remains, and the bones had been gnawed. Swift Runner confessed to cannibalism. He said he'd been having strange dreams and that the spirit told him to eat his family, which included his wife, brother, mother, and 6 children. He'd gone Wendigo. So, like, that is what Wendigo is.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah.
But so it's interesting because the more I was reading about this,
I guess
the indigenous culture, the people that speak on behalf of the indigenous people that have this as part of their belief system are very protective, and they're like, we understand the horror of it, and it's supposed to represent the darkness in humanity in these very extreme times, and why like you would boil your insides with bear fat or be killed because this part of humanity is unacceptable, right? So then they really don't appreciate that it gets turned into like these X-Men type characters.
Yeah, horror movies.
So it was very interesting because I knew what a skinwalker was from like, you know, horror movies and stuff like that. And I had heard of a Wendigo, but I didn't understand, I guess, the deep cultural roots of it. And so it was one of the most interesting reads.
But it's also one of those things too, where if you only get a surface level read, you would think that occasionally Native Americans could go crazy and eat people.
Exactly.
Like, because if you don't get a deep enough, it's for when you're already in trying times. And on top of that, maybe you dash in a little bit of schizophrenia or something else. On top of that, you start to get this gnawing hunger that speaks to you.
But then as white people are talking about it, they're making it this whole other thing. And then it becomes, oh, well, Native Americans do this.
Well, the one thing is that I like to actually about Ravenous is it's not about Native Americans doing it. It's about white guys doing it.
Well, yeah.
And then them like trying to grab a little bit of Native American lore and make it and justify it.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I actually really like about the movie is I feel like they did it in a pretty decent way.
Yeah.
Compared to some of these other ones. But it's an interesting movie. That's all.
Let me say, the last thing I want to tell you about real quick is I have some of the cryptid museums. Like I have a list of cryptid museums, right? So there's a monster and stone museum called the Yokai Yashiki in Japan, and it's full of amphibious water demons.
Okay, yeah, those are fucking insane.
Yeah.
There's the one that you have to keep the water in its head.
Yeah.
They're all fucking, and it's an open bowl. No. I never want to go there.
We're going to go there.
No, I'm never
We're
going to go
definitely
there.
going there. There's the Flatswood Monster Museum in Sutton, West Virginia, home of the Flatwoods Monster, whose origin story is basically the Mothman,
Yeah.
except even more boring. No, I'm just it's like not telling you about traffic crimes.
Yeah.
It's just like, there's the Ogai Museum in Indonesia. It's a small museum full of giant effigies of Bali's demons and monsters.
Okay.
And apparently really beautiful.
Okay.
Right? Everything's saying really nice. There's the International Cryptozoology Museum in Portland, Maine. We could go to Maine.
Nope.
Come for the unrivaled collection of specimens, including the 8.5 foot tall, 300 pound Crookston Bigfoot. And they also have cryptid hair samples and fecal matter. So, I mean,
Okay.
we can go to Maine. No?
It's 90% deer. Not because I don't believe in cryptids, but because I don't believe in people from Maine.
The Museum of
I'm
the...
just checking off states. I'm just losing
know.
whole regions.
I know, you got to stop. I
Okay.
love Maine, for the record.
Yeah.
I love a bed and breakfast in Maine during blueberry season. Call me. I'm going.
Go by yourself.
I literally will. So there's the Museum of the Beast of Gévaudan in France. The museum is...
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah?
I know that one. That was the beast of whatever it's called with the G.
Yeah.
That was a giant wolf.
Yep.
It was a giant wolf that was terrorizing people. I can't remember if I either read a comic book about it or I watched a film about it. I can't remember, but it was really, really good. And it's about these hunters going after this like massive, it's like a dire wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's cool.
There's I cannot say this because it's in Icelandic. It's like the Skirminslauden in Iceland, and it's full of sea monsters, which is their cryptids.
Ooh.
We could go to there. There's the Paranormal Museum in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Been there, showcasing what Asbury Park.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I've been there.
Yeah.
Now this is the one that I thought was pretty funny. Dr. Gloom's Crypt of Curiosities, which is a paranormal and oddities museum in Maryland. And the museum is, it's all the classic stuff. It's like decades of like stuff that this guy purchased while like looking at circuses and carnivals.
Yeah.
Like this guy, Dr. Gloom, that's not his real name. But his name was Augustus Gloom. And I'm like, I don't think that's your real name.
No, I'm pretty sure that's the kid who died in Willy Wonka.
Gloop, that's Gloop.
Okay.
Augustus Gloom. So he had been collecting oddities his whole life to build out this museum, right? And guess how he died?
How?
He died in 1977 in a freak Ferris wheel accident. I'm not even kidding.
That is insane.
I'm not even kidding.
To tie back to this week's warm up, because we just talked about how you don't like Ferris wheels.
Nope, don't like them.
And my experience in the St. Louis Arch.
And that's the whole episode.
And you know what? That is the perfect tie-in to let people know, if you want to know why Mrs. P's entire body language changed while talking about a man dying in a freak Ferris wheel accident, then you need to join us at Pearlmania500.net, become a team leader, and then you can hear this week's warm-up episode. The name of it is Alex... what did I just call it? Alex alienates the entire Midwest. So with that...
Yeah.
Great episode.
Great episode. Way to kick off October, baby.
You did a really good job. And now we're going to give our Patreon shout outs. So thank you to everybody. And let's stick around for a few more things here at the end of the show.
Pearlmania, 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 Pearlmania.
500.net.
I wanted to be the one to say it.
Well, you have to say it
After
at the
this
same
is
time.
over, will you go to McDonald's and get me a Diet Coke?
Pearlmania500.net.
You didn't answer my question.
I'm not answering the question for you. I thank you all to everyone who's been joining the Patreon. We are nearing a number that I'm very excited of for total concurrent Patreon
Crazy.
listeners.
Thank you all for, you know what? Thank you to everybody.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't believe people listen to this every day when I'm writing stuff and researching. I'm like, I don't know how this happened that people are interested on my thoughts about anything.
Yeah.
Let alone that I get to have fun writing this stuff.
And thank you guys so much. Again, as we said at the top of the show, thank you to everybody who came out, because I actually went through this week's shout outs already, and there was a lot of people who've already messaged as well who were actually at the St. Louis show, who have been listeners for a long time, and then they're like, after seeing me live, like, I had to join the Patreon. So I just want to say thank you to all those.
They were said you were so funny at stand-up comedy that they wanted to support our podcast.
Yeah.
And there are still 2 shows available.
There's still 2 shows available out in Phoenix, Arizona, and in Dallas, Texas. And if you want to find out more information, you just go to the show notes down below. Or check out just whatever. You can figure it out.
You guys are, what's the thing where we all know how to use the internet?
Yeah, you're intelligent people.
No.
Oh, you have brain rot?
No, okay, never mind. Let's go.
All right, let's start off with the first one here. We have I cannot underscore enough how much I love this podcast.
Hey, hon. Thank you.
Thank you. After that, we have Kubrick.
Hey, hon.
After that, we have Arnaud.
Arnaud. Hey, hon.
After that, we have Public Library Prophet.
The PLP?
Yeah.
I love that.
And its
hey,
prophet
hon.
is PROPHET.
Yeah, they're speaking the good word of libraries.
Yes, they're out there
love that.
speaking, and we need more people to do that. And
I'm the public library prophet.
Is that you?
No, the one that's for profit.
Oh, yeah, PRF.
I'm like, I do love public libraries, but also Ferengi.
Yeah, I do love public libraries. Pay me for it, bitches.
No.
After that, we have Matcha Party.
Matcha Party, Machu Picchu. Hey,
Yeah,
hon.
but also I think matcha is like a type of food.
Yeah, it's a drink.
Oh,
it's a
yeah,
green
yeah.
tea.
It's a green tea?
It's very delicious.
You like a matcha?
I had during the early days of the Panorama, I got really into matcha. Right before sourdough.
Oh, I remember that.
Right before sourdough, I had like 17 types of matcha in the house.
Yeah.
And I was just making matcha every day.
Real quick with the sourdough, I will say, because I made a couple TikToks about people hoarding toilet paper this week before the longshoreman strike ended.
Yeah.
So I will say, thinking back to that moment where you made fresh gluten-free sourdough and what it did to my insides, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that was right around the first time I had quit smoking. Like, for a long time, I was having some trouble. And you were like, try this bread. I was like, this is really good bread. I had like 3 slices. And the next day, I was good.
Clear.
I was,
all clear, baby.
After Matcha Party, we have Danny DeVito's lesbian doppelganger.
Hey, hon.
Hey.
I touched Danny DeVito's foot once.
Okay, what?
I did. I went to see, remember It's Always Sunny had The Nightman, the song?
Yeah.
They did like a live show in Philly.
Yeah.
And they it was like a big performance. It was like a 2-hour show about It's Always Sunny. And then they did that song at the end.
Yeah.
And I had front row tickets, and Danny DeVito like put his foot in my face and I touched his foot.
Wow. I have a Danny DeVito story, but it's not mine.
Oh.
But I feel like it's important to share. So I had a friend of mine years ago. He was a roommate. He was a little bit older than the rest of us. And he had all these crazy stories because he lived a crazy life. And he was from New Jersey. And he was telling us how he got invited to this party, but it wasn't by the host. He just like, somebody was like, I'm at this party, come to this party. So he goes to this party, this crazy mansion. And at one point, he's like, has this joint. And he's like, I want to go outside. I want to smoke this joint. So he goes out in the balcony. Some other people follow him. And he's smoking the joint. And he looks over and he's like, oh, shit. The pool is in the shape of a piano.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And he hears his voice just say, that's because this fucking Billy Joel's house stopped bogarting the joint. And he turns and there's no one there. And then the guy goes, look down, asshole. And it's Danny DeVito.
That's incredible.
Because he was so high, he looked over Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
And Danny was, give me the fucking joint.
How are we not talking about how he didn't know he was at Billy Joel's house?
Listen, this guy lived a life,
Yeah.
okay? And there's a reason why you've never met him. So, with that, our next one, this is a direct...
2 powerful personalities can never meet.
Next,
like magnets.
Next is Auntie Christ.
Oh, that's a great Auntie Christ.
Yeah,
hey, hon.
that was mine. That was my joke. I wrote when I did in St. Louis, talking about watching CNN by myself for the first time. It's it's a good joke there. So anybody who wants to hear jokes like that, come see me live. Next we have my hubs loves Trump. I'm libertarian. Please continue educating me.
Hey, hon.
There we go. After that we have Kelly Lukens.
Hey, hon.
After that, we have Bubsy_Wubsy_has_no_hair.
Yo, what are you in our living room? All we do is be rhyming.
Yeah.
Bubsy Wubsy got no hair.
Yeah.
Itsy bitsy spiders.
Yeah, Bubsy. Does Bubsy Wubsy have no underwear too? There's an underwear part in there too?
I don't know.
I feel like I've known this one from somewhere. I feel like this is a play on
Someone
one of those.
Tell me the context, but I love it. I'm into rhyming right now.
There is so many of those like nursey rhymes. You know what I mean?
Nursey rhymes?
Okay, shut up. After that, we have nerdy_chicken_Schmidt.
Hey, hon.
Nerdy Chicken Schmidt. I think they messaged that they were at one of the shows too, so thank you for coming out. After that, we have Dr. Bashir's Lost Blue Chew.
Oh shit! There's one person that doesn't need and shouldn't have Blue Chew. It's Dr. Bashir.
It's definitely not Dr. Bashir. He's definitely out there. He has thoughts.
You need to focus on your medical profession, sir.
Yeah, you need to focus on stop. Dr. Bashir, please stop sleeping with your patients.
Please.
Is that a request we can make to Dr. Bashir?
Yeah.
After that, we have another good one. We have Sonia Alves. Alves?
Sure.
After that, we have Cody.
Cody. Hey, hon.
After that, we have Katie Trent.
Hey, hon.
And finally,
Okay.
we have Mrs. P. Laugh.
Okay. I've been told I have a very asthmatic laugh sometimes.
You do. You have a pull sometimes when I
Yeah.
get you real good that I can't hear not on the microphone.
Okay.
But because I have the bass turned up a little bit, you have this like, but you pull in first and I can hear it cross your vocal cords. It catches me off guard sometimes.
What was the one day we were all downstairs in the living room when my dad was over and my brother, and you were like, the three of us were just laughing, and you're like, you all sound the same.
You all have this. But when I really get you, when there's something that said that's really insane, especially if there's one that like when my mom says something or when, yeah, that's it right there. You can't stop the pull.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there's a few times, but especially sometimes when like when a listener especially booms us here.
Man.
In the shout outs.
I love it.
You're like,
I don't think that's what I sound like at all.
it is, and it's insane that you don't know. Because you're sucking in air so hard that you can't hear it through the headphones.
Okay.
I can play it back for you.
No, that's okay.
I've made snips.
There's sound bites?
Oh, I've made them. Just in case.
Just in case of what?
Are
you going to AI replace me? Because
No.
AI do podcasts now.
I know
Are you
that.
AI podcast replacing me?
It was actually terrifying because I was like, it sounds a little bit like us. Or is this the way just all podcast formats
I think
sound?
if it's two people talking to each other, it sounds like two people talking to each other.
That's true. Especially if they're trying
I
to
don't think
explain a
AI
thing.
ever touched Danny DeVito's foot, so I can't be replaced that easily, can I, AI?
But AI can lie and say that they know what Danny DeVito's foot looks like.
Fucking AI, dude.
Yeah, man. But anyway, we're not AI, and thank you to all of our Patreon
Thank
members.
you for everybody for listening.
And thank you for everybody out there who's just continue being amazing.
I hope you have fun unpacking your sweaters and making your soup and pumpkin breads.
Yep, and all your autumnal activities.
Pick those pumpkins, heat up that apple cider, go outside, rake some leaves, but don't throw them away. Leave them outside so that the lightning bugs can have them, okay? Thank you so much.
And then after all of that, make sure that you have a continued fun Spooktober.
Too many frauds and too many scammers that we wish weren't real. Too many cons and too many spammers, and we're starting to feel like we've got too many tabs open. It's too many tabs. Remember to smile.